Facebook says it is soon going to start enforcing some consistent rules on politicians. So what exactly does that mean? Well, joining us now to talk about this is Katie Canales. She is a tech reporter for Business Insider, joins us from Austin, Texas. Katie, what is Facebook up to?
Right, so Facebook just said last week that it's going to keep Trump suspended from its platform until January 23. And so this is the latest development since Facebook initially banned Trump following the January 6th riot. And it's significant because Facebook is also saying that it's going to treat all users, including politicians, with the same set of rules. And that's a departure from how it has historically treated world leaders on its platform.
Because in the past, there was a certain newsworthiness, even if a Donald Trump or another world leader lied, and it was clear that he was lying, but just because they were saying it, there was some newsworthiness behind it, right?
Yes, that's what company executives have said, that what world leaders say is newsworthy, and therefore it deserves to be seen and heard by the public. So it said that it would not fact check or remove posts by those politicians, but as of last week, that will soon change.
Now, there was this advisory board recently, Facebook advisory board, which I've seen some people describe it as like the Facebook Supreme Court, which said that they had to be more clear about why they were suspending Donald Trump, and essentially gave Facebook 6 months to sort of figure this out. So this latest action by Facebook, how does that dovetail with what this advisory board suggested?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like Facebook actually took its oversight board's advice to heart. After it banned Trump in January, it passed the case along to its oversight board to ask it to review its decision. And the board agreed with Facebook that it should have removed Trump, but it said that that Facebook should have decided the duration of the suspension, and that it applied kind of a vague penalty to Trump, which it shouldn't have done. So Facebook looks like it took the hint. It decided how long Trump should stay suspended for, and it also decided that it will apply the same set of rules to all of its users.
Now, how does Facebook go about making sure that those rules are applied equally, whether it's to the right, to the left, to people who believe that the Earth is flat? I mean, how does Facebook go about making sure that they can somehow police all of these statements across the spectrum?
That's probably going to have to be something that we wait and see. I mean, we're going to have to see how strictly it enforces this new change. That also applies to government leaders from around the world, not just US politics. We saw something similar from a different company recently when Twitter deleted a post posted by the Nigerian president, and then the government responded by banning Twitter from the country. So we're gonna have to wait and see how strictly Facebook enforces this.
And I know a lot of users of social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, others have complained that in their own individual posts, they can be reported by somebody who doesn't like the post or doesn't like the language, and that sometimes these social media companies are very quick to suspend or ban somebody. Is that related to any of this?
I think how these platforms treat users at large online versus how they treat world leaders, they're somewhat different. These companies have historically taken a very hands-off approach to all of their users and how they moderate content. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, he's famously said that the company doesn't want to be the arbiters of truth. They don't want to decide what's right or what's wrong. So I think how these platforms moderate what users post, it differs from your ordinary everyday user versus how world leaders post. But as of last week, that will also soon change.
All right, that's a fair point. What about the point that sometimes it's not just what the politicians say, but it might be what their campaign says in an advertisement? That sometimes the advertisements can get into sort of a gray area of, well, the ad is suggesting a particular set of facts or opinions. It's not stating it for the record, and yet there are some people who say, well, that's a misleading ad, but is it a false ad? There are all sorts of areas of gray in this. How does Facebook deal with that?
It looks like this new change that it rolled out last week, it will likely apply to advertisements as well. And so we'll have to see, similarly to how Facebook cracks down on world leaders, we'll have to see how strictly it enforces this new change with political advertising.
And Katie, what's been the reaction both within the tech industry, but also in the political world to what Facebook has been up to?
I think everyone has really seen that this move is significant. Like I was saying, it really is a departure from how Facebook has treated world leaders on its platform. In 2 years, that is a somewhat long suspension. I don't know if surprised surprising is the right word, but it is significant what Facebook did, and I think a lot of people have taken note of that, especially since the suspension ends on January 2023, which is importantly close to 2024 when Trump has said that he's seriously considering running for presidential office again.
Yeah, I mean, he could conceivably launch a new presidential campaign at the end of January, February in 2023, the year before, which is traditionally the time frame for when candidates decide they're going to go to New Hampshire and Iowa and start campaigning. So you would have Facebook going for him again, I suppose. Does this also take on some greater significance in that Donald Trump suggested, I don't really need Facebook or Twitter, I can create my own platform. He created his platform, it lasted less than 30 days, failed miserably because it didn't get very many views and seemed to be nothing more than a blog. Given how challenging it really is for politicians, businesses, entities to go ahead and try to get into this kind of platform business, does that make the decision by Facebook even perhaps more significant?
I think it does. I think a Trump ally has said that Trump's Facebook account, it's essential if he wants to run for presidential office again, specifically with his fundraising and online campaign strategy. So there is something riding on Trump's potential account being reinstated in January 2023. As far as having a mainstream platform to use to reach millions of people in real time, essentially, that was important for him during his presidency, and it arguably would be if he were to campaign for another run, especially since he will be barred from Twitter. Twitter also banned him after the January 6th riot. And it said in February that even if Trump does run for president in 2024, he will still not be allowed back on the website. So as of right now, Trump is releasing statements, to the public via his website, donaldjtrump.com, and he doesn't have access to a mainstream social media website.
And Katie, it wasn't that long ago when Facebook seemed to be in a little bit of trouble, particularly on the left. A lot of people suggested that Facebook is a more conservative-leaning kind of site, that it features more conservative voices because of whatever algorithms or whatever the allegation was. And a number of people said, you know what, I'm giving up on Facebook. I'm getting off of it. I'm not going to use it anymore. Has that essentially stopped? Is there still a certain stink factor that enough people have with Facebook that Facebook is still concerned about it, or has that storm largely passed?
I do not think that storm has passed at all. I think we're still in the thick of it. I think some on the right, many on the right, are going to continue to hold the belief that tech platforms are bent on discriminating against conservative voices. I think
Well, it's also I'd say, yeah, surely on the right now, but also it seems like there's a conversion here, and that is a convergence, and that is there have been traditionally people on the left who don't trust Facebook, and I've got plenty of leftist friends who say I don't use Facebook anymore, I don't want to give them any business, and now it seems like there's a growing sentiment on the right as well, and I wonder if there's any danger to Facebook if you have the two sort of political opposites now both for different reasons in agreement saying, well, Facebook is really not a fair arbiter, we shouldn't be using the platform.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook's facing a lot of pressure from both sides of the aisle, not just the right. Democratic lawmakers, they have long said that social media websites, they don't do enough to police misinformation and hate speech online. So that's kind of the left scrutiny that Facebook is grappling with. But either way, these companies, including Facebook, they're facing a lot of pressure as they're navigating these challenging and complex content decisions. And yeah, like I said, they're getting it from both political parties.
And is the technology changing in any major significant way? Any major technological breakthroughs that we've seen on a company like Facebook over the last year?
Not that I know of. I think if anything, there's just more self-awareness from the company of the political climate. And how politicians are viewing or perceiving tech platforms in regard to what kind of content is being posted and how they're handling it. But regardless, we're in a political climate right now where anything that is posted online and how the company handles what is posted online is going to be politicized. And I don't think we're going to see that stop anytime soon.
And also more money, I would assume, going through Facebook and other social media platforms, given that television advertising continues to sort of shift away from traditional TV to online platforms where certainly more and more younger people are getting their news and information.
Yes, absolutely. I think Facebook's political advertising business is going to continue to be very lucrative and vital to a lot of different entities.
Katie, any predictions about what happens with Facebook over the next year and a half, 2 years? Any chance that this decision of theirs could change again?
I'm not sure. I think it's a little too soon to say. I think in regard to Trump, they're going to be watching his behavior. They're going to, like I said, reevaluate in early 2023. But as far as tweaking this change that it announced last week, I think it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do regarding this new enforcement policy.
And certainly Donald Trump has turned on Zuckerberg. Trump in his latest speech said, "Oh, Zuckerberg wanted to be my friend while I was in the White House, and now he doesn't want anything to do with me because I'm out of power." So clearly, Donald Trump has signaled to his supporters that Facebook is not to be trusted, and there's still, of course, the anger on the left about how Facebook has been behaving towards progressives for many years. In any case, fascinating conversation. Katie Canales, she's the tech reporter with Business Insider. Katie, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.